Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for another 7 on Sunday. And this week's topic, March 12th, is 7 books that did not hold my attention. So I ended up going on my DNF shelf on Goodreads and looking at all those books because if it didn't hold my attention, I'm going to DNF it. So all these books are books that I DNF, and I don't have a physical copy of them anymore to show you guys. So here are my 7 books that did not hold my attention. Number 1 is Duck's Newburyport by Lucy Ellerman. So this was kind of something to try out, experimental. It's a really big book. It's a mammoth. Probably would be perfect for March of the Mammoths. And this is about a mother going about her day-to-day lives and thinking about her regrets as a mother. And now I admit I don't connect to that because I'm not a mother. I don't plan to be a mother. I'm not interested in being a mother. I mean, I love little kids, but I don't love them that much to want to be a mother of my own because it's just too much, too overwhelming. And I admit I'm a very self-centered person. But I live with my own mother and my sister's mom, so I can definitely sympathize. But this is written in stream of consciousness. And like, if it had been a shorter book, maybe I would have continued. And, sorry, I don't know why it's like I have something in the back of my throat. I would have continued, if it was a shorter book, then maybe I would have risked it and continued. But this is a long, dense book. It's like 800 pages in the 800-page mark, I think. And I think I got interested in it because someone like Chris from Leaf by Leaf or someone probably talked about how great it was and how interesting it was. But stream of consciousness is too much for me, too overwhelming. There's no room to breathe, there's no room to relax. And because, I don't read, I might stop reading and pause and do something else. And I have this thing, I don't like pausing in the middle of it unless I absolutely have to. Like, I only got 15-minute breaks. So it's like if I'm going to, I can't, continue reading and then wait until, sometimes I can't wait until a page break because, it's time for me to go back to work. But that's the only time I won't stop. I will be willing to stop in the middle of a page. But most of the time I always look for a page break, and there was no page breaks. It was continuous thoughts of the main character, and there was no room to breathe, no room to relax, no room to take in the story and what I read. There was nothing going on. The characters just going about their lives. I mean, this woman is just going about her life, walking around, and it was boring. I couldn't get into it, and I just I don't think I like stream of consciousness. I mean, I'm not entirely giving up on it because I think James Joyce's Ulysses has some chapters that aren't stream of consciousness. But yeah, it was too much. Book number 2, this is one I actually did a buddy read or attempted a buddy read with someone on Goodreads. This guy messaged me, asked if I was interested in reading a classic with him. And the good news is we both agreed that we agreed to DNF this book. We both lost interest. So the book we're talking about is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. Now, I do like Les Miserables, and I want to continue reading it. But this one just wasn't for me. I love the Disney animated movie. I love the music. I love the dark themes of the story. I like the characters. I like even the silly stuff. I mean, I don't love it as much as I did as a kid, probably, but still. And I like the dark themes, and I think a lot of people that grew up with that movie as adults, they appreciate it a lot more and enjoy it a lot more. And I kind of knew that Quasimodo and Esmeralda's story was not the main story, or and wasn't central to it. Original class, the original book. But I did not realize that he was going to spend the beginning of the book talking about the Paris architecture in the city of Paris, which I'm glad he's passionate about Paris. I love Paris. I want to go back to Paris. It's something that I want to do with my sister one day. I want us to go back and visit, because she had lived there for a while, one semester in college, because she studied abroad there, and we visited Paris, and then we went to south of France. So we were only there for a little while, only a couple days. Actually, maybe even only a day. So I want to go back to Paris and explore more of the city. In fact, I think I'm even more interested in going to France and going back to Paris than going to Ireland or Scotland. Like, I want to go to those too, but I kind of want to go to France first. Even though, yeah, I've already been there, but I still want to go back and spend more time in Paris and then visit the south of France again. But anyway, if I wanted to read a book about the history and the architecture, I would read nonfiction. I think most people would feel that way. I don't think Hugo really got that. I don't think he understood that. That not everybody is going to love and be passionate. Even people who do enjoy France and learning about France are not going to read a book like a fiction book giving you a history lesson about Paris architecture and the city of Paris. And I do know that in Les Miserables, he does talk about the sewer system of Paris. For some reason, he wastes page time on that. And it's like, why? But it's only like later on, I think, in the story. So I think he learned his lesson that people, when they read fiction, they want to read a story about characters and about their lives, and like they want something to happen to them, and they experience conflict and fall in love and all that. They don't want to read about the Paris architecture. They will read, if they want to, they'll read nonfiction. So yeah, that was boring and that was a disappointment. It took forever to get to the Quasimodo story, and I was not happy about that. The good news is, like I said, my buddy and read partner also agreed with me on that. Which, by the way, I hope he's doing well right now and enjoying whatever he's reading. Okay, number 3 is one that I already read, and at the time, when I first read it years and years ago, I thought I enjoyed it. I liked it back then. So I have the movie adaptation starring Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. And I love that movie. I love the relationship between Sally and Jillian. I like the aunts. They're fun and awesome. They're great mentor characters. I think the whole concept of the curse on their family is really cool. And I love stories about witches and Wicca. I think that's always fun. And I like Sally's relationship with her daughters. And yes, teenagers can be brats. That was fine, and, I love the house, and the setting, and the romance, and all that, and I like the whole concept of the abusive boyfriend coming back as a zombie, like, they're trying to save him, and it backfires on their asses, and he is a zombie who haunts Jillian and everything, and I think that's, the movie is so awesome and so much fun. Then I decided I wanted to reread the novel, since it had been years. So I got it from the library, because I eventually donated my original copy, and I read it, and I realized I don't like this. It's very different. I mean, it has the basic story, like the curse on the Owens family, the women in, these two sisters, and in their relationship with their aunts and all that, who are barely in the book. I mean, they do get their own book. It has become a serious sense. But the sisters, who are, yes, very different in the movie, they didn't change that, but the sisters are complete opposites of each other. They hate each other, and they're super judgmental of each other, even worse than in the book than the movie. The movie, they don't get along, and they do have one big fight at one point. They are complete opposites of each other, and there's a little bit of judgment, but it's not that bad. They still love each other. They're still affectionate with each other. They downright hate each other, and Sally is so judgmental of Jillian and so critical of her sister. It's not even funny. It's not even cute. And then, on top of that, her daughters, especially Kylie, the oldest, is such a brat. She takes after her aunt, which was in the show, I mean, she definitely had elements, but she seemed a lot younger. I think in the movie, like we didn't see her become a teenager. I feel like she's probably a preteen in the movie adaptation. That's what she looked. She looked like a preteen. But there was a charm and likability, even when her daughters, Sally's daughters, were acting like brats. You still kind of liked them and felt for them and kind of understood where they were coming from. But they were just rebellious girls that had no respect for their mother. Which, yeah, when you're a teenager, yeah, you do get that, and you can get that way. Not always, but there are a lot of teenagers who do. And I just could not stand the characters. And I don't even remember the other stuff. I hated the book. And I don't know why I liked it the first time. Especially since I actually think I saw the movie adaptation before the book anyway. The first time around. So yeah, this did not hold my attention. It annoyed me and I didn't even finish it. And I was like, I'm just sticking to the movie. So next is another classic, and I didn't like with Hunchback of Notre Dame. I didn't get very far in this. This was disappointing because it was a favorite of one of the booktubers I really enjoy. Of course, I don't have to like everything all my favorite booktubers like. People have different tastes, of course. And that was 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I'm fine with unlikable main characters that I don't relate to, but this guy got on my nerves. He was such a prig, and it wasn't like the writing was anything special to me. I got bored quickly. I got confused a lot of times. I didn't know what the heck was going on most of the time, and I just did not like this one. It's a disappointment, but I didn't. It's one of these things where I was, trying it because it's a classic, and it let me, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Okay, so that was number 4. Now we are on number 5, and this is kind of my fault because I didn't really look up much information on the book. I just like the guy who wrote it, the author. And that is Memoirs of Misinformation by Jim Carrey. And yes, the Jim Carrey. Of course, he's not the only one who wrote it, but he had help. I forgot to look up the author who helped him. But memoirs, I was thinking memoir. I love memoirs. I enjoy memoirs, especially about actors and that I enjoy, and that's what I wanted. I wanted Jim Carrey's memoirs about his life, about growing up, and how he became an actor, and him choosing roles and stuff, and what he went through and all that. But it's not that. It's basically, there might be some material that's based on his real life, but it's basically him talking about Hollywood and his experience in Hollywood, but fictionalized. It's not his real memoir. It's a fake. He makes references to actual actors that I know, like Kelsey Grammer, Susan Sarandon, people like that. And, but it's a fictionalized, exaggerated version. And I was very disappointed in that one. That's not what I wanted. So it was my fault not looking up and paying attention and reading more, figuring out. Although I'm sure there are a lot of people who like this book. And maybe Jim Carrey didn't want to write an actual memoir. I mean, I know he's a good man who experiences depression, and he's a wacky guy. So maybe this was his compromise. And I have all respect for him as an actor in his comedy. But this did not work for me. Okay, so number 6. This was, again, more my fault because it's a genre I normally don't read. And I think if I'm going to try a genre I don't normally read, then I just need to stick to the shorter ones. I mean, I was able to read High Rise and very much enjoyed it and wrote a review. And it has like 19 chapters and they're short chapters. So I really appreciate that. But Big Little Lies by Liam Moriarty. So it's a bit of a thriller mystery where something happened in a kindergarten classroom, and you're hearing the events that led up to it and finding who caused the problem and all that. And I was intrigued for a little while, but then I got bored really quickly with this one. I was like getting very impatient. I was like, okay, get to the conflict, get to the actual thing that happened. And it's a big book, it's a chunkster. It's one of those books where you spend a long time to the lead up of the event. And you kind of get all the background of these characters and their lives and stuff like that. In the history of them. But I have been really intrigued by the story and intrigued by the characters, and I wasn't. It did get adapted to a limited series, I think on HBO, with Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, I think Laura Dern is in it. The girl from the American Teenager, I was on ABC Family, is in it. And I lost patience with quickly and got bored with it. And I think this was one of these situations where I got caught up in the praise and hype of this book. So now we're on the last one. And this is actually a genre I do read. It's fantasy. And it was actually a story about characters, like fantasy creatures that you don't get a lot of. They're usually just the lackeys for the bad guys. And that is Orcs by Stan Nichols. So I was thinking, oh, that should be really interesting because these guys aren't usually, main features of these fantasy stories. And so this also, you could argue, is kind of my fault because I was all excited and I didn't think about how dark it was going to get. Like, I have no problem with dark stories. I mean, I really like Joe Abercrombie and he's very grimdark. But sometimes at the time it was just a little too much. And there was a part with the Orc Queen, which I don't know if was supposed to be antagonist or not, but she has this human man who's a slave, and she does things to him that are really inappropriate. And I mean, I should have known that something like this would be in the story, but I was not comfortable with it, and it was just too much, and I was not ready for something like that. So I was like, I dropped it quickly and have not continued with it. I ended up putting it in the donation pile, and it was sent back. It was sent to probably somewhere in, someone bought it at the roast office. But anyway, yeah, I was not ready for something like this. So there was that. Okay, so those are my 7 books that didn't hold my attention. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell notification icon below if you want to be notified when I post my latest videos. And is there any books that you read that that did not hold your attention? If you have any of those, feel free to share in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. All right, bye!